Hi there, everybody. So, welcome. My name is Nick Watson, and I have been getting a little bit gnarly this week around courses that I'm involved in that keep talking about setting goals. And for some reason, it wasn't sitting well with me. And so when that happens in my own practice, I sit with it and I reflect on it from a spiritual place, from my meditation, and really try to understand what is not right in this idea of goal setting for me. So I wanted to share this because it may be relevant for other people out there. So I adhere to I adhere to the physical world laws, like cars and houses and money and stuff like that. But I also have a part of me that's very much been trained in understanding the metaphysical laws of nature, right? How things work truthfully without being colored by society or any kind of mind stuff, any kind of stamping on energy. And so this idea of setting goals makes me feel nervous. It makes me feel jittery because this idea that there's some place out there that is a set point, that there's like a pin in that place, and it's a black and white place. And for you, it might be around money. Once I make this amount of money, or it may be around once you find a partner, or maybe around when you have a certain car, right? And it's very much blocked and locked. And therefore, that is for me not in alignment with true spirit, because like nature doesn't have a point where it stops. There's no pins in nature. It's an unraveling constant creation that is very much an interactive process. If there's a storm, it hits the tree, then the tree hits the road, that creates a new path, that then, it's not just a one thing situation. So looking at the word goal is far too tight and bound and fail, non-fail. It's far too dualistic. So instead, what I feel is a more truthful way of this idea of being moved towards something is we have attention, right? As soon as I wake up in the morning, my eyes are moving and there's something that makes me move. So that I call attention. And the attention is focused out, but for me to know where I need to go inward. So we talk about intention, and the intention is taking, almost like my eyes go inside and I look down to where I would lead from would be my heart, the direction, right? What is it that is directing me? And this brings us on to a spiritual teaching around dharma, or purpose. Many of us don't see our purpose because we can't see ourselves. It's like the goldfish swimming in the bowl doesn't understand it's the goldfish swimming in the bowl. But I often say to people, and I joke a lot with clients, like, do you want to be a zookeeper? They're like, no. Do you want to be an accountant? No. Do you want to pick fruit in the south of France? Oh yeah, that sounds interesting to me. So just be aware of what others are doing to give yourself perspective of where your own purpose is. And we all have this journey that we're here. I don't even like to use the word to do. We have a journey that is an easeful journey for us. And then we can also decide, because we have the choice not to ignore that pull towards something and decide not to do it. And that will create a feeling of unease, disharmony. But clearing our minds is the first step, right? So clearing your mind of everything you could possibly think you knew, starting with a completely beginner's mind. One of the ways I love to do this is through meditation, because it's like there's just no noise. And in that no noise, there's the place that I can find. There's what we would call the the Param Atman, right? The part of me that is connected to this bigger place, this bigger picture, can start to rise up and be heard a little bit easier. There's also something called the Ishtadevata. The Ishtadevata is your own personal deity. It's this idea that you have a very, very, very unique individual path. You know, maybe you're like, oh yeah, I'd love to pick fruit in the south of France, but I only want to pick cherries. I'm not a great picker. I'm a cherry picker. Right? So again, start to look around you, see, oh, I don't want to do that. I like to do this. What, you know, are you a body person? Are you a mind person? Do you like being outdoors, indoors? Do you like family? Do you not like family? Nothing, no goods or bads. You've got to think outside the boxes for this. So throw the boxes out and start to go in for finding your own intentional direction rather than goal. Now, in the other side of things, in the spiritual woo-woo world, there's also this idea about, you know, goals are dreadful, they're ego-driven, they're, you know, pushy, they're masculine. But, you know, truth of the matter is, and I'm a tantrika, like we have an ego, we are born in a body, like we are individualistic and we do have drive and we do have desire. But the way that they manifest doesn't need to be goal-driven, doesn't need to be masculine and pushy in the way that we get there. Bring it to an intention and create a ribbon to that place. So that's the first thing. And then again, I often think that we get caught up in the big flashy car and $10 million in the bank account when we get to goal setting. For me, my goals are no longer really external things, although the state in which I intend for myself will have an exterior world. You hear that? So the state which I intend to live in will have an exterior world. There will be things in that world. So I start with an internal change. My intention, decision is to feel more at ease in my body, my relationships, my work. I feel more at ease in the way that I can communicate what I know. I feel more grounded and centered in myself. So what internal change rather than an external thing are you looking for? And you know, so a lot of times when I'm coaching people, it's around this, right? Do you really feel it in you? If not, you've not got there yet. And you're creating this kind of general slipstream, right? Again, goal seems like gotta get there. Intention is like a ribbon. It can wind. You might have to learn some other stuff on your path. And, you know, you're constantly, like I say, the tree, the storm, the road, the car, we're all in this co-creating place as opposed to some static freeze frame moment where we just say what we want, right? So we have to allow for movement enough. But that said, it's not like you're waking up in the morning and going, well, oh, wow. Am I going to be a zookeeper today? Am I going to build a shed in the backyard? Huh? Right? So you've got enough direction that you know what you're doing, creating that connection, and then you're moving there. Now, here's some little tips that I can give you. The first thing is, so you've got this idea that you're not aiming at a goal. It's not a straight path. You do want to be clear and you want to be specific about what you want. Okay. But that is in collaboration with the energy, right? If you are not feeling and excited, you could be nervous. That would be totally fine, actually, about that endish point that we're looking towards. It's like the specificity is creating the container, the car, if you like, right? But the car is not going to go anywhere unless you know why, or why? Like, why get in the car? I need to have a reason. So the energy behind it is the fuel. So let's say I did want to become a zookeeper because I like that. Okay, so I want to become a zookeeper. And I want to put a time on it, right? We're in the physical dimension. Like, I want to become that in 5 years. Then why? Right? Think hard about the why. Because I love animals. Because I want to care for animals well. Because I want to create a new zoo that is less restrictive of animals. Because I don't like the old zoos, right? Something that is a passion. Then you need to do your part. Okay, so again, if you're calling, your spirit, your Purusha is desperate to become a zookeeper, don't be sitting, Googling about building a shed in the backyard, right? Because that's not on task, right? So you got to do your part. You can have that idea, but you got to do your part. At least doesn't mean to say you need to rebuild the world in 1 month, but at least stay every day. You're working towards that. If I want to be a zookeeper, I want to have feeds about animals. I want to have feeds about zoo. I want to have, learning about that, visiting places, not building a shed. You need to also take moments to check in with yourself. In yoga, we call this svadhyaya. It means check yourself before you wreck yourself, right? You've got to take a moment to sit down and have a truth talk. A truth talk being, am I really being authentic? Or am I making up some Cinderella story in my head that makes me want that thing? Is this thing that I am working towards really mine? And it might need some tweaking. But if you're totally off the ballpark, then you need to take a moment and do more self-study work, right? Who am I? What are the things I like? What makes me happy? What gives me pleasure? So once you have all these things down, then we actually know what we're going to create, right? It's like going to one of these pottery places, right? You kind of go in there, you got to say what you want, a mug or a plate. You got to do your part, right? You're going to get paints together. You got to check in with yourself. Do I really want the mug or do I want the plate? Right? And there's a different feeling in the two. One's like, yes, and one's like, not so much. Check that feeling, check it within. And then we start to create. So the first thing is, there's something out there called the Akash. The Akash is the place where nothing has been made yet. It's like, I like to imagine it as like some matrixy type astral plane. There's no bumps, there's no lumps, there's like nothing. There's not even, sound is slightly there, but that's it, right? There's nothing there. I can imprint with my mind's eye into that, right? I can start to put in my mind's eye way up above me that, is this idea of the thing that I want or would like. So I start to begin to weave it from the Akashic thread. And this is really a tantric teaching, right? Tantra meaning to weave, that we start at the astral level, we create in our, beyond our mind. It's kind of in the meditation, and maybe if you've done yoga nidra, something like that. And then the next part is, once you've got it in like the big universe out there, is you start to think about it, right? You start to visualize it. You start to maybe write it down. You start to put it on Post-it notes. You start a visualization board. But visualization boards without all the other stuff, in my opinion, don't work, right? It has to have this top-down stream through to work. So you start to think about it, bringing it into the physical, writing, visualization, maybe even keeping it in mind as you're working out, something like that, right? It needs to be embodied. You need to make a plan and have, the timeline told to you, if you like, right? Because our small humans like to make up time and have them in clocks and stuff like that, but spiritual time is quite different. So, but it's not to say it's completely disconnected, like, oh, it might happen in some, right? Take a calendar and take out all the shoulds, like shoulds are like little mosquitoes, like should do it by then, should do, take that out, right? Lay your hands on the calendar and go through each month by month, and say, is this the month for that thing? Is this the month for that thing? You'll hear yes or no. And maybe you don't know, so you put a question mark. But I think yes or no will come to you. And then lastly, right, now you've done a lot. You've communicated with spirit, with the Brahma, and you've brought it into your body. The Jiva Atman is the part of you that is like going to do the thing. It's got the thing, the working out of it. And then we do the connect back in, right? So it's a full circle, right? Spirit gives you some purpose, the Dharma. You kind of chew it over, figure it out, do your part, you check in with yourself, you then go back, you weave it, you bring it back into you, and then the last part is where you go back up to spirit. And this is in the meditation where you might be asking for help. How do we ask for help in meditation? Well, I teach tantric meditation, so it's not the same as mindfulness, and I use various mudras and various mantras, and often I'm calling on various deities and asking them for help. So if I need help with communication, I'm going to use a particular deity, or I'm going to use a particular mantra for that. If I need help with like getting rid of obstacles, like I know where I want to go, like I want to be, moving away to another town, but there's like people who keep like trying to make me not go away. I could maybe use Durga, right, to help me slice through those things that are going to try and pull me back, so I can slice through the net and break free a little. So that's another wonderful thing about the tantric meditations. I hope that this is somewhat helpful. I just wanted to share this because certain things come to me being in the world, being online, and they're sometimes like on the brink of spiritual, but they're not really, right? And so I wanted to just share my point of view. It is just my point of view. If you have something you'd like to comment on, please add that in the comments. Feel free to share it. And if you want to know a little bit more about my work, then join my newsletter. You can go to nickwatson.me, sign up through the website. You can link into my Facebook or Instagram and get into my newsletter that way. You can post a message, I'll pop you on my email list. I send out one email a week, and I try to curate what might be of interest. You guys out there absolutely ask me questions. The only way that I can teach on certain things is when I'm asked. So feel free to ask. And if anyone's interested in future workshops, retreats, or maybe joining me on the Beautiful Alchemy spiritual journey, which I'm going to be leading in October, then make sure that you're connected to that, because that will be a deep exploration with me in small groups, doing coaching around mindset and so on, and a little bit deeper dive with you that way. So thank you all for listening. Have fun creating your intention directions.